Now it's time for the business news with Cole Stangler. Good evening, Cole.
Hey, Donna.
You're starting out with the protests here in France over planned reforms to the pension system. Why is it so controversial?
Well, we've seen a number of different reasons why it's a controversial plan. There's been speculation about the retirement age being potentially lifted or being potentially moved upwards. There's also a set of actually variety of reasons why it's creating so much uproar, why we've seen this protest today. So for one, taking a look at it here, for one, the government wants to create what they call a so-called universal system that's merging all 42 existing pension schemes into one. They also want to change the benefit calculation formula that's moving to an individualized points-based system. Another measure that's rankling some is a proposal to lower contributions among the wealthy. Ermal Maxwell has the details on that.
High wage earners could end up contributing less in the French pension reforms. The proposed plans would equate to a loss of 3.7 billion euros per year over a span of 15 years, as the government honours its commitments to retirees already in the system. Here's what's on the table. Right now, high earners contribute on income of up to 330,000 euros a year. The proposal would cut that to 120,000 euros a year, affecting about 240,000 senior executives in the private sector. But the pension system is already facing a forecasted budget shortfall of 17 billion euros by 2025.
It's a serious act to create this imbalance, which is a choice by the government and which is going to penalise future retirees.
So why is the government making this choice? President Macron's party says the changes will actually be fairer because it wants to lower the pension payouts of high-wage earners, who statistically benefit from the pension system for a longer time than others.
In our current system, it's the poorest people who finance the retirements of the richest. They have higher pensions and longer retirements because their life expectancy is longer than people who have unstable work.
But striking workers fear the changing of these contributions is a step towards privatising a public system they're fighting to protect.
Let's take a look now at the day's trading action. European markets posting strong gains to close out the week. So you can see here, shares on the FTSE in London up around a full 1%. Investors reacting to positive survey data for the British economy. The CAC 40 with gains of around 0.9%, and the DAX up over 1.4% in Frankfurt. Wall Street, though, on the other hand, in negative territory. That's after reports that Boeing may be considering a further cut in production of its 787 Dreamliner jet. The Dow's down about 0.8%. The Nasdaq and the S&P, meanwhile, down around a full percent. Now, one of the biggest winners on Wall Street today, on the other hand, is American Express. Its shares are up over 2% now. That's after the credit card firm reported better than expected fourth quarter earnings. Card fees are a big part of that. Millions of new card members helping to drive fee revenue growth of around 17%. Meanwhile, Friday marked the fourth and final day of the summit of this year's World Economic Forum. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin was in attendance today in Davos, Switzerland. He reiterated hopes for a new trade deal with the UK as soon as the country leaves the European Union.
And already started the conversations with the EU. We look forward to making progress with them. And I think on the UK, the President has been clear going back to the election that the UK is our number one ally and will be at the top of the list of trade agreements. So we look forward to getting that done this year. We're encouraged. We also know they got to do a deal with the EU. But we look forward to hopefully getting both those deals done this year.
Now, France 24's Lynn Riffai was in Davos today. She caught up with the Director General of the International Labour Organization. He addressed how new technologies are changing the world of work.
Where are those transformations coming from? From technology, from digital technologies, from climate change and the action we must take to counter climate change, from demographic issues. You know, the rich countries of the north are getting old, but the countries of the south are still young and growing. So a lot of change is coming. And frankly, I think one of the messages we need to get across is that we need to prepare. We need to prepare for this transformed future of work in ways which address these existing problems and begin to tackle the new ones coming.
And finally to China, where a deadly coronavirus has left more than 20 dead. It's also upsetting the world's second largest economy. One of the country's biggest tourist attractions, Disneyland in Shanghai, will close its doors Saturday for health and safety reasons. Tomorrow also marks the Chinese New Year at a time when hundreds of millions are typically traveling across China. This year, though, many are staying in place. That's hitting hotels, restaurants, casinos, and more. Zolano, it's also affecting Wuhan, which has been on lockdown. The city is known as an auto production hub, so industry clearly hoping that things will soon return to normal there.
Return to normal, and we just have news coming into us here in the France 24 newsroom. 2 cases of the coronavirus have been reported in France, one in near Paris and one in the city of Bordeaux. We'll have more on that story in the next hour here on Live from Paris.